It was the fall of 1987, deep in the humid heart of Mississippi, on the sprawling grounds of Ole Miss. The campus was a patchwork of antebellum buildings, moss-draped oaks, and forgotten corners where the past clung like kudzu. The old south gate stood at the edge of the quad, wrought iron twisted into Gothic arches flanked by crumbling stone pillars. Legend whispered that they were forged from the chains of enslaved workers who'd built the university. And that passing through them at midnight, when the chapel bells tolled 12, damned your soul straight to hell. Something would come to collect, hellhounds, black as midnight with eyes like burning coals and howls that shredded the night. No one believed it, of course. It was just a story to scare freshmen passed around bonfires with cheap beer and joints. But that October night, under a bloated harvest moon, 6 friends decided to test it. They were juniors, inseparable since orientation. The guys, Jake, the cocky quarterback with a mullet and a Letterman jacket, Tommy, the skinny engineering major who always had a flask, and Marcus, the quiet history buff with wire-rimmed glasses. The girls, Sarah, Jake's girlfriend, with feathered hair and a laugh like wind chimes. Lisa, the sarcastic art student in ripped jeans. And Becky, the bookish one, always clutching a notebook like a shield. They'd started the night at a frat party, pounding Natty Light and dancing to Madonna on a boombox. By 11:30, they were stumbling across the quad, arms linked, giggling about the legend. "Come on, it's bullshit," Jake slurred, tossing an empty can into the bushes. "We'll walk through, bells toll, and nothing happens. Bet you $20. Tommy whooped, pulling out his flask for a final swig. Marcus muttered something about old plantation curses, but Sarah shooshed him with a kiss on the cheek. "Lighten up, Mark. It's just fun." Lisa rolled her eyes, but Becky hesitated at the gates, her fingers tracing the cold iron. "Guys, what if—" But the group pulled her along, and as the chapel bells began their slow, resonant peal, dong, dong, they stepped through together, laughing into the darkness. At first, nothing. The bells faded and they high-fived, collapsing onto the grass in a heap of tangled limbs and beer breath. "See? Told ya," Jake said, pulling Sarah close. They lingered there, passing a joint, talking about midterms and weekend plans. But as the moon climbed higher, a chill crept in, not the autumn kind, but something deeper, like fingers brushing the back of your neck. It started with Tommy. He was the first to hear it, a low, distant howl, like a dog in pain, but twisted, echoing from the woods beyond the gates. "You guys hear that?" he asked, sitting up. The others shook their heads, chalking it up to the wind or a stray mutt. But Tommy's face paled under the moonlight. "Swear to God it's coming closer." They teased him. "Too much whiskey, man." And he laughed it off. But his eyes darted to the shadows. By the time they decided to head back to the dorms, Tommy was lagging behind, rubbing his ears. "It's like whispering now. My name." The group paused but heard nothing. Marcus clapped him on the back. "You're fine, dude. Let's crash." They split up at the dorms, guys in one hall, girls in another. Sarah kissed Jake goodnight, lingering a bit, whispering she'd sneak over later, but in the quiet of his room, Tommy couldn't sleep. The howls grew louder, not outside, but inside his head, snarls that vibrated his skull. He saw flashes, red eyes in the mirror, claws scraping the floorboards. "It's the beer," he told himself, splashing water on his face. By dawn, he was pacing, convinced something was hunting him. He called Jake at 6 a.m., voice shaking. "Man, I think it's real. The hounds, they're coming." Jake groaned, hung up. Tommy barricaded his door, thinking if he just stayed put, it'd pass. But the howls swelled into a frenzy, and when his roommate woke, Tommy was gone. Window open, sheets clawed to shreds, a faint sulfur smell lingering. They found his flask on the sill. Empty. The group reconvened that morning in the cafeteria, bleary-eyed over scrambled eggs and coffee. "Tommy's probably passed out somewhere," Lisa said, but her voice cracked. Becky fidgeted with her notebook, sketching the gates absent-mindedly. Marcus pulled out an old campus history book he'd grabbed from the library. "Look, there are records, disappearances back to the 1800s, always after midnight tolls. They called it the Devil's Due." Jake scoffed. "Coincidence. He'll turn up." But Sarah squeezed his hand, uneasy. That afternoon they searched the woods, calling Tommy's name. Nothing. As dusk fell, Lisa started hearing it, faint bays, like wolves closing in. "Shut up," she snapped at no one, plugging her ears with her Walkman, blasting Duran Duran. It drowned it out for a while. By evening, the group holed up in the girls' dorm lounge, chain-smoking Virginia Slims, debating what to do. "We should tell someone," Becky whispered. Marcus nodded, but Jake shut it down. "And say what? We did a dumb dare and now Tommy's AWOL? They'll think we're high." Paranoia set in, eyes flicking to windows, doors locked tight. Lisa paced, the howls now a constant drone in her mind, morphing into voices. "Lisa, join us." She saw shadows slinking under doors, felt hot breath on her ankles. "It's not real," she muttered, grabbing a crucifix from her necklace. For a moment it worked. The sounds faded. She laughed shakily. "See? Just hallucinations. We're fine." The others relaxed, even shared a beer from a hidden stash. Maybe Tommy had just ditched town. Spooked. But midnight came, and the chapel bells tolled again. Lisa bolted upright, screaming as the howls erupted, visceral, wet snarls that made her skin crawl. She clawed at her ears, blood trickling down. "Make it stop!" The group tried to hold her, but she broke free, sprinting into the hall. They chased her to the stairwell, where she froze, eyes wide. "They're here, teeth like fire." Then she was gone, yanked backward into the shadows, a guttural yelp echoing as if something dragged her down. All that remained was her Walkman, tape still spinning, headphones shredded. Now 4. The survivors fractured. Jake blamed Marcus. "You and your damn books. Why'd you even mention the legend?" Marcus shot back. "We all went through." Sarah clung to Jake, whispering prayers while Becky scribbled frantically in her notebook as if writing it down could make it untrue. They decided to stick together, barricading in Jake's room, but the howls found Becky next, soft at first, like a lullaby from hell, calling her name in her mother's voice. She saw hounds in the corners, mangy beasts with ribs showing, jaws dripping ichor. "They're starving," she whimpered. Marcus researched frantically, finding an old folk remedy, salt circles, holy water. They tried it, drawing lines on the floor. Becky's visions eased. She even smiled. "It's working! We're beating it!" Hope flickered. They took shifts watching, telling stories to stay awake. Sarah dozed against Jake, dreaming of escape, maybe drive off campus at dawn. But as the bells neared again, Marcus heard them, howls, weaving through the wind, claws on brick outside. No, not me. He saw eyes glowing in the vents, felt paws pressing his chest. Paranoia peaked. He accused Jake of dooming them, fists flying. In the chaos, Marcus fled to the library, thinking knowledge could save him. He locked himself in a study carrel, books piled high. The howls quieted. He thought he'd outsmarted it. "I'm safe," he whispered into a payphone, calling the others. But the line went dead. The hounds burst through, hallucinations made flesh, tearing pages and flesh alike. His screams echoed down empty aisles, body vanishing into the stacks, glasses cracked on the floor. Dawn broke on 3. Jake, Sarah, Becky. They ran for Jake's beat-up Camaro, keys jingling. "We'll drive to New Orleans, get a priest," Jake said, engine roaring. Sarah nodded, hope in her eyes. Becky clutched her notebook, the howls now a symphony in her head. As they sped toward the gates, she laughed maniacally. "They're inside me." She lunged for the wheel, veering them into a tree. The crash was thunderous. Airbags didn't exist back then. Jake and Sarah stumbled out, dazed. But Becky was gone, seat empty, a bloody paw print on the dash. Just two now, they hid in an abandoned chapel, bells silent. Sarah's turn, howls like lovers' whispers, hounds nuzzling her legs in visions. She fought it, clinging to Jake. "We can make it," she sobbed. He held her, promising forever. But as midnight loomed, Jake heard them too, final frenzied bays closing in. Paranoia shattered. He saw Sarah's eyes glow red. Accused her of being one of them. She fled into the night. He chased, but the hounds took her mid-stride, a visceral rip of shadow and scream. Alone, Jake barricaded the chapel doors, heart pounding. "I survived," he gasped, as silence fell. But the bells tolled, and the howls erupted from within, his own throat betraying him. Claws burst from his skin, self-inflicted in madness. He vanished into the dawn mist, the gate standing sentinel, waiting for the next fools. No one escaped. The legend claimed them all.